Stablecoin volume on Hedera has just reached a new milestone. As of May 2nd, we have $130 million worth of USDC running on the Hedera network. That's a huge milestone. That really puts Hedera up there with Algorand at 150 million and even the massive crypto.com ecosystem, which currently sits at about $150 million as well. In addition to that, guys, we've been talking a lot about stablecoins recently. So much activity from giant payments players like Visa and MasterCard getting involved. So to see this statistic pop up when it did, I'm very glad. Because it's been a while since we've been able to talk about Hedera, right? These networks, man, they have their ebbs and flows, all right? Get used to that. If you're going to be in this space, get used to your favorite asset kind of going dark for a while. Not hearing anything besides developer updates, which really don't attract no attention. Besides, from the people that are building on the network, which is still good, but we all know what we like. So with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Wade. You're listening to another edition of the DHN Crypto Podcast. I've been in the space since 2019, and I've researched over 1,000 digital assets. Now, the number one reason I sit here in front of this camera is to share all that knowledge with you. All I'm asking in return, you hit that subscribe button. I do have a goal. I want to see the channel hit 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I definitely think that's possible. In return, I got a couple tokens of appreciation for you. Let's hop over to the terminal so I can share those with you. First being the DHN Blockchain Starter Kit for 2025. Listen, I remember being new to this space, October of 2019, having absolutely no clue where to go, where to start, how to get involved. That's why I put together this DHN Blockchain Starter Kit. It will give you links to various crypto ecosystems, resources, news outlets, data outlets, organizations that you need to follow. It allows you to really get a pulse of the crypto space if you're new, and kind of point you in the right direction. And it also pairs well with the new financial system master sheet. On this channel, our conversation centers around the technology that is building out the new financial system. The assets on this sheet are the ones that we will cover the most. You can see Hedera on there. What this is a collection of organizations that the networks in the new financial system have collected over since their existence. I tried to go that deep, right? You'll also notice there's a lot of overlap with this list too. So link in the description as well as the pin comment under this video. That's how you can access these guys. And then I'll talk a little bit more about Blockmaster at the end of this, but I want to really dive into this story because this is exciting. Like I said, there's been a lot of discussions about stablecoins recently. Visa, MasterCard, Circle Payments Network. And if we backtrack a few months, the influx of stablecoins into the world of RWAs, which to that point, this does open the window for Hedera in the world of RWAs, because as of right now, we're not seeing anything. I'm gonna share that with you in a minute. But we got this metric here, courtesy of HGraph. Shout out to HGraph. And we also have, guys, a lot of us in the Hedera community have been waiting for this, Hedera stats. Now, this may have been live quite some time ago. It's been a while since we touched on Hedera, but I'm seeing it for the first time. Some of you may be seeing it for the first time. Those of you who haven't seen it for the first time, okay, keep it light. don't rib us too bad. But we have it now. All right, we were all waiting just the same. Courtesy of HGraph. I like that. And the first thing that stood out to me was this revenue in the last 24 hours. I was fishing around DeFi Llama too to get some more data I'm gonna share with you for this story, and I see revenue metrics on there as well. Masari is starting to show revenue. This is where we want to be, ladies and gentlemen, because obviously the networks that are generating the most revenue over time, that's where all the value is going to flow to. But about $1,000 in the last 24 hours ain't nothing monumental, right? But I want to show you the stablecoin market cap, which is updated daily. We're actually at 131 million as of today, May 5th. This is consistent growth here. Now, it would be easy to say, you can see the 1 year change, 980%. It'd be easy to sit here and tell you Hedera was able to do this because of the fast transaction speed, the eco-friendliness, consensus, and all of that. But you know that. Let me remind you of the relationships that Hedera has built over the last few years in the stablecoin realm that we all knew would bear this type of fruit, ladies and gentlemen. So you go over to hedera.com, use cases / payments, and you get a pretty strong list of their stablecoin and payment rail providers. Banxa, Drop, associated into FedNow's, the U.S. instant payment system known as FedNow. MoonPay, which a couple weeks ago made me feel some type of way, saying that Shedeur Sanders demand is a strong word, his salary be paid in Bitcoin. There's no need, bro. He was already going through enough. Leave it alone, MoonPay. But nevertheless, MoonPay putting up numbers. They just need to check their interns on their social media. 6 Clovers, another big player in the space, worked with Algorand in the past. As a matter of fact, that was one of their first public blockchain relationships. This was in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. They used to be called another name, and they were tied into a major DLT project. I have a video on the channel. It would take me ages to find it. Nevertheless, 6 Clovers, you look them up, you'll see they bought their business as well. Transact, USDC, and then, of course, Zimbali, digital token, infrastructure, and payment warehouse with CBDCs. Now, you can go a little bit further, honestly, and look at the ecosystem / developer tooling integrations, and you see Elliptic, you see Stratus X, Singaporean dollar living on Hedera network thanks to them. So just a couple added names. But I hope you get the picture that it's through these relationships that were established. A lot of these relationships were established years ago. But laying the foundation with these companies allowed for Hedera to be positioned in the perfect spot for when the discussion around stablecoins reached the point that it is now. And then, of course, we can't forget about, yes, the stablecoin studio, where we have more partners in the Hedera network utilizing right now Standard Bank, Shinhan, Cathaway, Jewel. These are all national stablecoins here, like stablecoins that are backed to national currencies that are being developed. Top of that, a couple months ago, if I'm not mistaken, we got word of the PHPX stablecoin out in the Philippines. So, 130 million. Okay? That's a heck of a milestone when you really understand how we got to this point on the Hedera network. Now, like I mentioned before, that's a pretty strong mark. You can see Algorand stablecoin market cap sitting at 150. I was looking at CRO as well, Kronos. I'll show you that one. Stablecoin market cap 142 million. So when you look at, especially in the case of Kronos, the activity that is going on these networks, largely in part due to the stablecoin activity. So now that Hedera has the, you can say, space for the stablecoin volume, we can expect the current stablecoin players on Hedera to now kind of ramp up production, so to speak, and then we'll start to see these numbers increase. There's another layer to this as well, though, and that's the world of RWAs, because I'm going to show you a chart, and it's the main chart on RWA.xyz, and you'll notice that there's a network missing, completely not mentioned, right? But before that, let me show you the potential real-world ramifications of this move. We've been talking a lot about this company, Bridge, all right? Stripe acquired the right company because now, after MasterCard dropped a 360-degree stablecoin solution, which we covered last week, Bridge partners with Visa to launch stablecoin card issuing product. Now, as it stands right now, there aren't any solid connections between Hedera and Visa or Hedera and Stripe. Hedera does have room for several more council members. Visa may not do it. Stripe might. I could definitely see Stripe doing this. Maybe not in the next 12 months, But by the time we roll around to the next Bitcoin halving, Hedera's governing council could look quite insane. Okay? Could look quite insane. Now, the bulk of that $130 million was in USDC, right? 130 million USDC. That's interesting because we all know USDC just launched the Circle Payments Network, which is supposed to electrify their entire stablecoin offering, one of which lives on Hedera. So you could say that Hedera is already beginning to benefit from what the Circle Payments Network is kicking out, or this once again prepares Hedera, prepares the network to handle these added transactions that are going to come thanks to the modern infrastructure Circle has put together with these names here. Stripe, MoneyGram, Nubank, that's Warren Buffett's bank. Okay, Warren Buffett. Coinbase, Solana, Arbitrum, Binance. They're about to get an ETF. Y'all keep y'all eyes on Binance, man. I know it's a bit pricey of an asset, but they're about to I knew their relationship that they put down in Kazakhstan years ago was going to bear fruit. Kazakhstan is about to drop their own stablecoin, and guess what is running on? Binance. So this stablecoin situation is really is heating up, y'all. And I hope I don't overdo it this week with the stablecoin news, but there was just so much happening. We actually got some bad news in the case of stablecoin regulations. Democrats pushed back on the recent proposal from the Republicans on the Stablecoin Genius Act last week. So now they got to go back to the table again, do that whole process all over. So that shows you, though, stablecoins are important. Okay? Stablecoins are very important here. Now, we're on rwa.xyz. Let me zoom this in a little bit here so that way you guys can, see this clearly. So this is the RWA market caps of all the listed networks that RWA follows. Now, shout out to Stellar and Algorand. Check this out. Ethereum, ZK, Zinc, Era, which I still have no idea who they are, and then Stellar, Algorand, followed by Aptos, Solana, Polygon, Arbitrum, and the rest of the Ethereum layer 2s. XRP Ledger up there, and then XTC's at the bottom. But which one? There's one missing. There's quite a few missing, but the one we're talking about is Hedera. So the point I'm getting at here is, what else do these networks have a lot of? We just talked about, as far as DeFi goes, Algorand's market cap, stablecoin market cap, $150 million. You could say that Hedera has now reached the threshold to where RWAs can start kicking in. And we know about their RWA partners, the biggest being ArchX, because they're tokenizing financial instruments from the likes of BlackRock, State Street, names like that, right? This will also, though, a strong stablecoin ecosystem opens the door for their other RWA partners, Dovu, Diamond Standard, tokenizing diamonds on Hedera, Hash Access, Shinhan, and Standard. So we saw these banks too, along with their stablecoin development. RWA tokenization, these banks now have the ability to tokenize any assets that they may hold. I'm learning those are things like treasury funds and private credit, derivatives, things like that. So the door is really open. As a matter of fact, look into a guy, Shannon Harrell. Okay, he just did an episode on Hedera talking about the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Actually, he and H-Bar Bull, Brandon at the H-Bar Bull, they both covered this story a couple weeks ago. Nairobi Securities Exchange, they're getting ready to launch a digital asset exchange with Kenya. Word is, that sucker's gonna run on Hedera. So that will also benefit from the stablecoin volume that Hedera is able to maintain, showing us numbers like 130 million in USDC. This is good. This is real good, ladies and gentlemen. So keep your eyes on Hedera. I know things have been quiet recently. And like I said, that's what happens in this space. All right. These markets, these networks, they will have their ups and down period. Okay. But don't let that detract you from why you originally got into the investment. We see a world that is forming. It's completely digital. It's quantum speed, right? It's still happening. Just the everyday in between stuff, you kind of gotta overlook it. One way to do that though is to have you a good read on your hands. And I put together Blockmaster. This will tell you everything you need to know about blockchain technology. You can access it at the link in the description under this video, digitalhustlenetwork.com. It'll also be in the pinned comment. But I put together pretty much everything that I have learned about the blockchain space into 28 pages for you. So having fundamental understanding of this blockchain technology, that has really allowed me to make some of the best investment decisions. Truthfully, it also helps deciding what stuff I talk about on this channel, which networks I present to you. It's because I've studied this Blockmaster, and it has given me the jewels, the gems behind the world of blockchain. Okay? Promise I'm not trying to oversell it. I'm just real big on educating people. All right? Because education is power, folks. Don't forget about the new financial system master sheet as well. That'll be in the same place. And then it all starts with the DHN blockchain starter kit. Right? Last thing I'm going to share with you is this adoption model. These are for those that are new. This visualizes how blockchain technology is adopted. So real quick, in this particular sense, let's say Hedera does land Stripe as the governing council member. Okay. The independent organization in this case would be Hedera. Third-party tech provider would be Stripe. Financial service provider. Well, considering the run that Stripe is on, let's insert Visa into that equation. The network, of course, would be the Hedera network. Another thing that goes overlooked in the space, the company and the network can be separated. All right? Just a rule of thumb there. Blockchain network Hedera, completed blockchain application, something involving stablecoins, maybe tied into the Nairobi Securities Exchange or Kenya's Digital Asset Exchange in the future. So, make it short and sweet for you. With that, I'm done talking now. Y'all know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.